Well, joined now here on GCR by a man who's getting ready to make the short trip up to Baltimore to technically to Catonsville tonight, where the Maryland baseball team is going to take on UMBC. He is having another outstanding season. He is the shortstop for the Terps. He is Matt Shaw, and he's with us now here on GCR. Matt, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Dude, it's great to chat with you. First of all, like, just how good does it feel to be playing the way that you're playing, for the team to be winning series? I think you've lost one series all season long. You're trending in the right direction. Like, how good does it feel to be Matt Shaw at this moment?
Yeah, no, I mean it feels good right now. The team's like you said, trending in the right direction. That's huge for us. I think as a whole, we're starting to gain some momentum. And obviously in the game of baseball, really any sport you're playing, momentum is huge. So gain a little bit of momentum going into honestly one of our toughest weeks of the year is going to be this week where we have the double midweek and then we have away Indiana. So I think we're really looking forward to this week. Obviously the game, and I think it's going to be a really exciting week and hopefully a good week for us.
Matt, I know early on in the season you guys had a couple of opportunities. I know you got the one win down at Ole Miss, but you had some opportunities for some big wins, and you came in with a ton of hype. And I'm sure that for some guys it's difficult, right? Because you want to be a top 10 team in the country. You want to prove to everybody immediately. But was there maybe I don't know, something positive that came from taking a couple of difficult losses, growing from that, and knowing, hey, it's a long season. We've got a long time to make sure, as you pointed out, we're playing our best baseball going into Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that was huge for us, honestly, losing some of those games. I think, this team this year, especially after coming off a really good year last year, we kind of struggled a little bit to find our identity as a team. And I think, as of right now, I think we're really starting to come together. I think as a whole, we're really starting to kind of mesh together and play like we should be playing. So, I think it's a good time for us to have, like I said, one of the toughest weeks of the year. I think we're ready to kind of stand up to that challenge and have a great week. So, I think obviously the beginning of the year wasn't exactly how we wanted it to go, but losing those games was a little bit of a wake up call. But also, we've worked through it. We've worked through some things, some injuries and stuff, and we're still ready to go.
He is Matt Shaw. He is with us here on GCR. Maryland at UMBC tonight, as he points out. This very difficult week starts tonight, 6 o'clock. If you're local, you can get to Catonsville and check out the Terps as they make their march to the NCAA tournament. Matt, going back to what you said about last year and what a magical season it was outside of, one really terrible umpiring call at the end, but I can say that and you won't. Um, what did it do? What did you sense that it did for the program, for expectations, for the belief of what can be accomplished by a Maryland baseball team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously coming in and doing that was huge. Like the players, the fans, the coaches, everybody. Something we always believed we could do, but finally being able to do it and see it come to life was like absolutely amazing to see. I just remember seeing a line of fans outside our stadium, and the line was 200 feet long, and that was a crazy feeling to see Terp Stadium getting filled up like that. So I think it was huge. I think it's great for the program, obviously. But I also think it kind of started working some things into motion, like getting that new hitting facility,
Yeah.
getting new things like that, where, in this day and age, it's really hard to recruit when you don't have stuff like that. And for us to continue to get better, you got to be good at recruiting. You got to have the facilities. You kind of have to do everything you can. And I think we're finally being able to do that now.
It's so fascinating you bring that up because like I was a student at Maryland once upon a time, and like baseball barely existed in with on campus. It was like, oh right, they play baseball too. So to experience that electricity of what happened last year, I can only imagine like the taste that it leaves in your mouth to say, dude, we need to do that again. And I know it doesn't look great for the chances of hosting a regional at the moment, but like just to have that juice and maybe I don't know if the obligation is the right word, but to sort of carry that moving forward and continuing to push that what Maryland baseball can be in the coming years.
Yeah, no, I mean it's something that leaves a pretty bad taste in my mouth, losing, in front of all those people who came out to watch you play, who are supporting you through the weekend. But I think it's something we obviously can do, and in years to come, whether it's this year or other years. But something that you remember and you look back and say, like, yeah, that's what we're looking forward to every year. That's kind of a goal every year, and then obviously making it to Omaha.
No question about that and how magical that would be. Matt, for you carry, I don't know, maybe an additional amount of pressure, right? Like you are thought of as one of the top prospects in all of baseball going towards the MLB draft this season. How, you know, multiple goals, right? Like how do you handle both wanting to help the team win versus wanting to show everything that you can show, knowing you're also perhaps just a few weeks away from your life completely changing?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes just kind of focusing on the team aspect can allow the individual stuff to kind of take place on its own. And it really helps, being able to be a good teammate, to play the game and lock in on the game and enjoy playing the game. All those things kind of let everything else happen, and work themselves out. So, for me, being able to focus on the team and stuff like that and winning, you don't really need it to balance out the other thing because then everything else kind of takes care of itself.
You,
So,
you've been such a productive player throughout your career. Is there something that even this season you feel like you've done better? I know your OPS has been nuts, right? And I know the power can. But is there something that you're even more proud over that you feel has developed even more for you, considering the standard was already pretty high for you coming into this year?
Yeah, for me, like the walking more than I'm striking out and having a better on base percentage is something that's absolutely huge for me. Something I put a lot of value in, something I've never done before. Obviously, people who know baseball know on base percentage is an extremely important statistic, maybe even more important than average. So, having that high on base percentage, being able to walk, taking the walks when they give it to me, that's really, really important. It's something that I focus on a lot.
What did it take for you? Like as you point out, by the way, Matt's OP or on base percentage is over 460 right now. It's just bonkers what he's doing. What did it take for you to say, "Hey, I know I'm a hitter, and it's been obvious that you've been a hitter since you arrived, but I have to be willing to say I can't just like." What did it take for you? Was it something that someone said to you, or I know how important Matt Swope is to literally every human that's ever been around Maryland baseball.
Mhm.
Like, what did it take for you to make that a priority?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a maturity thing. Being
Yeah.
able to mature, being able to take, my swings when I'm getting the pitches, and if I'm not, just being able to work that walk, being patient, understanding kind of what the game gives to you and what you're given in a certain count or game or whatever it may be. But I like to walk. I've always wanted to walk, but being able to be mature enough to actually work those walks and take those pitches in certain counts, that's where this year has been a little bit different than others.
Look, man, it's paying dividends. There's no freaking question about that. It's unbelievable what it is that you're doing. I'm wondering if you could have fun with me for just a second because we are up here in Baltimore, right? And the Orioles hold the 17th pick in this draft, and I'm just wondering, given where you're from, how awkward would it be for some of your friends and family if in a couple of months you were announced as the 17th pick by the Baltimore Orioles, knowing I'm assuming that there's an awful lot of Boston Red Sox fans that exist within your life? How much maybe uncomfortability would there be if it played out that way?
I obviously would love to play for the Red Sox, as you mentioned that. But in the end, I know that all my friends and family, they'd be obviously really happy.
Yeah.
And you have to, and you know that. But at the same time, I think everyone would prefer that I play for the Red Sox. So.
I appreciate the diplomatic way that you're handling that because I feel like if it was the other way around, a kid from Baltimore was being drafted by the Red Sox, all the family members would be like, "Yeah, dude, it's over. Like that's like, we're just gonna have to hate you moving forward." Matt, this is my first opportunity to catch up with you. I wondered if you could tell me the story of why it was Maryland for you to begin with. Like, I know there had been some success at Maryland. It's not like you arrived at a place that there was no hope for having some success, but there had been a little bit of a dip there. Why was Maryland the spot for you to begin with?
Yeah, Maryland was kind of one of the schools that showed a lot of interest in me. You know, I had a few schools that were interested, Maryland, Northeastern, a couple others, but you know, they kind of showed the most interest, and you know, Maryland being a little more southern than where I'm from,
Hmm.
and also having you know, like you said, they have. But they might not have a huge track record, but they've had some success. They have obviously great coaches, as you mentioned. So, you know, once I started to get to know Maryland a little more, to me, it was really a no-brainer to say, hey, you know, I get to go to these young coaching staff, this great hitting coach, all of this stuff, and go play in a Power Five conference. And you know, for me, that was a no-brainer.
I don't want to take anything away from, like, I feel like end up talking to guys about Swope all the time. I don't want to take anything away from Coach Vaughn because obviously he's a very accomplished coach. He's doing a hell of a job. But what is it about Matt Swope? Because like I will talk to somebody like say Lamont Wade, and he'll be like, "Dude, I owe everything, everything to that guy." What is it about him that guys love and makes him so impactful in your careers and getting you to that next level?
Yeah, obviously his drive to be a great hitting coach, you know, I think that starts everything. He's got a drive to learn, a drive to understand how each hitter swings individually. And I think that's kind of helped him to figure out what, you know, recently that's been his kind of his MO is these motor preferences. That's kind of how the body moves, and you can kind of think of it as another form of biomechanics if you're not familiar. But you know, just his drive to understand the player, to make the player the best they can be, to have an individualized plan for each player. I think that's what makes him so unique. You can kind of fall into the trap in certain colleges where everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And you won't find that here. You'll find a plan that's very specific to you, that's very specific for your development, and I think that's, you know, hugely important.
All right. Give me right now the biggest thing, the difference between where this team is right now and where you need to be in order to make that historic run and bring Maryland to Omaha for the first time ever. What is the biggest difference right now between where this team is and where you want it to be?
Yeah, I would say two things. Number one, you know, having a great week. This week is huge
Yeah.
for the momentum for the rest of the year. So I think this week is vital for us. And secondly, I think, you know, there's some guys in our bullpen that, you know, need to step up and have those roles, because you get into regionals, super regionals in Omaha, you're throwing everything you got.
Yep.
And both teams are. So, you know, you got to have guys that step up and kind of find their role. And, you know, if that happens and, you know, we have a good week and we have guys that step up, I think we're in good shape.
Matt Shaw. I was trying to peruse. Are you on social media? Like I kept trying to look. Are you a social media guy at all?
No, I don't have any social
Good for
media.
you, man. Has it always been that way, or did you sort of dump it at some point?
Yeah, I dumped it probably now like two years ago.
Just like sort of I want to stay focused, or what was that decision all about?
Yeah, I mean, focus is one thing. It was kind of just like, to me, it kind of felt a little bit pointless. Like I just really wasn't interested in it.
Bro.
So I was like, you know what? It's really not worth it. And so I just kind of I dumped
I have never heard a more truthful statement in my life than social media is really kind of pointless. I am so jealous of you and the ability
it.
to just block it all out and say, I don't care. I've got bigger things at stake. Is there anything at all that we can plug for you? Doing anything NIL wise, anything like that that we can give you a plug for?
You know, I honestly haven't been super interested in NIL either, but I know, you know, it is pretty important for college sports now. And you know, I'm nothing against it. I think it's like awesome what it is and what it's all about. But right now, you know, with all the baseball I'm playing and you know how things are going, and hopefully taking that next step into you know professional baseball,
Yep.
my focus with NIL, you know, I don't find it as to be an extremely important part of, you know, who I am or what I'm doing. So,
Dude, you're fat. This is great, man. I love the fact that you just seen it. Was it always like, did you always just love baseball the same way? Did you always know it was baseball? And like, did you always just love being a competitor like this?
oh yeah, yeah, baseball was always the one.
That's cool,
Baseball
man.
was, yeah.
That's really cool. Matt Shaw, it's fascinating chatting with you, dude. It's awesome to watch you play, man. It's incredible. And not only we're going to wish you luck this week, as you mentioned, with this huge week starting tonight against UMBC and the rest of the season, but we wouldn't mind it if it happened to work out and you could buddy back up with Costas here in the Orioles system down the road. That would be a really cool thing. Congratulations on all the success you've had. Thank you for taking a few minutes for us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to talk, and I love talking about baseball, so it's good to be on.